Clear.
She's muted.
Can you hear me?
Is that Ryan?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
I heard you.
Sorry, just 1 second. We're actually too short for form. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so
Eric,
yes.
I have to ask you, did you get the email that came from Alex Summer?
Yes.
You have it? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I have it. Did the committee get a chance to read it? Yes, William. Aaron read it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this before I have Broadway Stages go ahead. So as the letter that went around today states, and as the packet that was sent from Mr. Platt's office. So this originally started as a demapping proposal a few years ago, and then it got dropped.
I'm sorry, Eric, I don't mean to interrupt, but there's someone with a lot of background noise, so I can't hear a thing.
Okay, can everybody mute their mic for now, Mr. Fong?
Thank you.
That sounds better. Okay, everybody good? All right, great. So I had spoken to Tony Argento and Eric Palatnik and some other members of his team. You know, a demapping of a street requires more than just a DOT approval. It also is a land use item and requires a little bit more lifting than just this meeting can facilitate. So when I'd spoken to them, there was a plan to use the open streets DOT's open streets to go ahead and create some safe areas on Monitor Street for both catering purposes for the crews that use Broadway Stages, as well as the extensive COVID testing that they need to do to meet union requirements. I will let, obviously, Broadway Stages team get into the weeds on that and why they feel that that justifies their open streets. But I just want to make it clear that this is not a formal public hearing to approve a demapping of Monitor Street. So I just want to make that 100% clear at the outset. When all that work is done between Department of City Planning, DOT, and everybody else, we will have a more formal meeting that will be more widely publicized and allow the businesses and residents in the local area to weigh in. So with that, and if there are any questions on that, please let me know now. Anybody? I can't see hand raising, so I guess Marie, if you're monitoring that. So with that, I will open it up to Mr. Fong. I don't, is Tony on the call?
So it would just be myself, Anthony Fong, General Counsel of Broadway Stages, Don Whitbeck, Office Manager, and Monica Holwax, our Community Manager. And Eric Palatnik's also here. Unfortunately, Mr. Argento had to be on the family emergency matter as well.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, Mr. Fong, you have the floor.
Eric, why don't you
I'd be happy to present. So Anthony is the general counsel for Broadway Stages, and he's responsible for quite a few things. And I'm helping him and assisting in doing the land use component. So first, I just want to say thank you to everybody for making time for a call and for being on the community board and for doing what you've done. The city has suffered a lot, and I've seen it's been the local level that's really been the leadership, and it's due to meetings like this that it's happening. So thank you. You're all volunteering, and it's been quite a year for everybody, and the Argentos are not exempt from that. If I can share the screen, I would like to, because I could give you some visuals while I'm talking. I don't know if I have permission to or not, but if you can grant me permission.
I believe I did that one. Did you try to upload?
Yeah, it won't let me share content. I keep hitting the
Okay,
screen.
let me work on that. Okay.
But if that doesn't work, there's a gentleman named Austin Corey on the phone who also has the content, and he could share also, if you can get permission to. So while you're attempting to do that, because technology is the hardest part of what we're doing right now, let me just give you a little bit of background on what we're asking you for. Yes, eventually we will be in front of you asking you to demap Monitor Street, and yes, we'll be back with a full land use alert, the whole shebang. And yes, we were midway through that for a number of years, for a number of reasons, and we were planning on getting to you sooner or later. And the email that was referenced to that you heard was that the application had been dismissed because it had taken the Argentos some time to get an engineer, and they were working on that. And we were doing that, and we had a meeting in August, and that's what the email that from city planning references from Alex. But what we're here for now is while we're asking for the demapping of Monitor between Norman and Greenpoint, what we're asking for you right now is for the temporary, just temporary closure of that street, as I'll show you, during the COVID crisis. And the visuals that I could explain to you and what I could show you what's going on there, it will come up in a second. The reason we're making the request is Broadway Stages is, for all intents and purposes, out of business right now. They are not filming. I think somebody gave me permission, I think. Yep. So I think if, hold on a second. Share a file, I think. Nope. Oh, I have to upload it. I can't just share. You can't see my screen, can you? Austin, is it possible that you can get, I've never dealt with this problem on WebEx before. Usually it just lets me share my internet connect, my browser. But that's
Yeah.
not happening.
Let me go in and see if it'll allow me to.
See if you can get in. What it's giving me is share content. Mary, maybe you can give Austin access and he could fiddle around with it. It's giving me share file and new whiteboard.
I gave it to him. I gave him the same role.
All right. So hopefully, Austin, maybe you could play around with it and get it up on the screen while we're talking. I had some trouble getting into this on the WebEx event too that I've never had. I apologize.
I see something here on the screen now. The presentation, although it's like rotated. Does anyone else see that?
No.
That must be mine then.
Give him a second. We're experiencing some technical difficulties here. Please stand by.
I can see it. When you go on the whiteboard, there's a drop-down menu, so I can see it, but it's turned around.
Okay, well, that's a start. How do you get to the
Yeah,
white?
it's like the bottom. It's like the bottom of the drop-down menu. There's the one on the bottom says Monitor Street.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
It's on my screen now. It is sideways, but this really doesn't matter if it's sideways so much. You all get the gist. Maybe Austin can rotate it, but you sort of get the gist.
Yeah, I'll try and figure out, see if I can.
All right. Is that you controlling the screen now, right now, Austin, or can you get it to the next page, the aerial?
There we go. I think it's you.
You think it's me controlling it?
Yeah, my WebEx is also like seems to be literally like bugging out right now.
All right.
I'm sorry.
So I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why it's giving us all this. All right.
Hi,
So-
there's, if you go to the if you go to the top drop down box, you have to click on sharing monitor stream. Can you see that?
No, I don't see it happening on my screen. Austin, do you see it on yours, Austin?
Yeah, I'm on the sort of slides part of the presentation. Are other people on the call seeing the change in slide? Did they see like the bird's eye map right now?
No. I don't.
I think you have to manually scroll down to the page. So if you just press the down button, it should take you there if you give the correct page. It should start on page 6.
Austin, any luck getting it up?
Yeah, it's up on my screen. And I'm on the surrounding uses page. Yeah, does anyone, like any of the community board people see it, or is it just on my screen?
I see it, and on the side now I see
All
other
right.
slides.
Well, that's a small miracle. I still only have the cover page for some reason. Yeah, this
Yeah, you have
WebEx.
to,
There's a bar on the left side. It has page numbers in the middle,
Yes,
so you might
that's
have
what
to
I
use
see.
that to control the up and down of the
Exactly.
slides.
yeah,
Oh, so they
Exactly.
can control their own movement? Is that it?
yeah, that it looks like that's the case. I could do that for myself at least. Exactly.
It
So you
sounds.
can just say what page it is. Yeah.
It
So page
sounds.
8.
It sounds to me like there's a slight malfunction with WebEx for whatever reason, or something quirky's going on with it. But it sounds like you can all control your own movement on the page. Does everybody on the call able to do that at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so everyone go to page 8. That's the map that Eric is talking about. And then if you go to if everyone has the sort of, downloadable WebEx application on their computer, if you go to view and you rotate view right, and the map comes into, then it will rotate to the correct way. So it does seem to be like almost a personal, like, situation. Like each person controls it for themselves. For me, at least.
Unfortunately, mine is buffering when I try to switch.
Yeah, mine does too. I think it's a WebEx issue.
Okay, now, yes. Now everything, I could see it, but it still buffers each time when I switch.
I'm going to try getting in one more time, see if it works. I'll try. I mean, I have it up on my laptop, but it's not helpful. All right. Well, listen, the visuals really maybe they're important, but let's work. I'll work around it because I think I can explain to everybody quite clearly what's going on. The Argentos operate Broadway stages. You all know that. They've operated for years and years and years. They're closed right now due to COVID. This right now between Monitor and Norman has very little activity going on it, and the Argentos line both sides of it. At night during the summer, I don't know if anybody in the community knows this, but we have videos and pictures we're going to show you. The young people were using it as a good spot for their tuner cars to have disco or whatever parties they were having at night. and they would shut down the street on their own, and they would have parties in the middle of the night because it created a great canyon. And what the Argentos are asking to do is to do what the young people did, except do it legitimately. To temporarily close the street, not all the way at Norman, a few hundred yards in, and allow the Argentos to utilize the street for not just testing for COVID, but also to allow people to be staged outside. Because the regulations in the film industry from COVID are amongst the most stringent out there. And they're incredibly strict on the number of people that can be on a set and on a sound stage at any given time. So the request is to allow them to have temporary closure of this portion of Monitor Street, temporary, only the same way that the closed streets for the restaurants are. We'll make our own separate demapping application, and we'll ask you to weigh in on the merits of that later, and and you can grant that or deny it under EULA. We're not asking for anything permanent. We will provide, to make it safe for fire department access, full-time fire guards that will be on site at any number that are necessary to be on site to enable and facilitate the movement of emergency vehicles through that area, should that be needed. There'll be a fire lane through there that will be adhered to and respected. The reason we're making the request is because we employ 2,000 people at that location, not necessarily under our payroll, but from all of the TV shows and all of the production that we do there. And we create tons of business in the immediate neighborhood. And the Argentos try hard to give back to the community. And I know you all know them, and you can draw your own opinions on what they do. They have asked already for support from elected officials, which include Assemblyman Lento, who's supporting it, or has at least indicated they'd support the closure of the street temporarily, I'm saying. The Congresswoman Maloney, Councilmember Levin, and Senator Salazar have all signed a letter supporting the temporary request. The North Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce has signed a letter in support. The police department's 94th Precinct Community Council has. A number of production companies that you never would have heard of, but that do a lot of shows there, all signed letters begging for it. PS 110, the Monitor School, which is on the very same street, just by the BQE, in a little bit of the nicer part of the town, obviously. It's not as industrial over there. They support it. Monitor Street Realty, which is one of the landowners on the block on the end by Norman that we're going to keep open in the first few hundred yards, they support it. We have garnered a lot of support, but we've gone to the Department of Transportation. We've asked Keith Bray if he will support it, and we have been told over and over again that the judgment call is at the mayor's office of film. So we are here tonight asking or begging for your recommendation to give to the mayor's office of film to allow the Argentos and Broadway stages for the temporary closure under whatever condition you deem appropriate. We are not picky. We need to get back in business. We are out of business. If we stay out of business much longer, God knows what will happen. But we're out of business right now, and we need the community support. I was given a whole list from Monica, the Community Development Affairs Director, who's on the phone earlier, of things to say, of all the good deeds that they've done. But I'm not going to list off the good deeds because I'm sure some people may have various opinions on what a good deed is or what a good deed isn't. But I'll say this, they have tried through the years when times were good to do what was right by people. And now times are not good. And they're grim and dire for them, just as they are for the rest of the city. And if there's anything anybody on this board can do to give them a little bit of empathy at this moment in time, we would greatly appreciate it. And we'd be willing to adhere to any condition that anybody would like to see. We are not here to debate conditions. We're here to ask for your help to get us back in business. And once we're up on our feet again, then let's talk about how to go forward in the future and do what's right for everybody as we move ahead. So thank you for making allowing me to make the presentation. I'll just echo also one more thing, what Anthony said a moment ago, which is that the Argentos would have loved to have been here tonight. They had every intention of being here. Please do not mistake their absence from tonight's meeting as any indication of their lack of interest, desire, or intensity to make this happen. If any of you are paying attention to the bouncing ball, it's 2020. And as I started off saying, they are not exempt, and that carries right through to this evening, which is why they are not here. So we're trying our best to make do under circumstances, and we're sort of winging it tonight without Tony, because Tony could really give you a very clear picture from a film production standpoint of what he's confronting on a daily basis, but he's not available. So we'll do the best we can to answer any questions. I'm a zoning lawyer. I'm not a film production lawyer. Anthony knows the operations, and so does Monica, and they were there in the other office, and we'd all be happy to answer any questions you may have. So thank you for giving us your time, and we're sorry that we're encountering so many technical snafus. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Eric. So when we originally spoke, I don't remember hearing that the mayor's office had the final say. I thought this was a conversation between you and DOT. As for open streets, has that changed since we spoke?
It's changed somewhat in the sense that we understand that everything through open streets eventually funnels through the mayor's office, and the mayor's office of film is obviously addresses everything film related. So we've been to DOT and we've been communicating with everybody, and we're not being given specific direction, but we are. You all have done this long enough to know that not everything in the city falls into a square peg into a square hole. But it appears as if this is going to the mayor's office. That's what's developed since we've spoken to you last. And it's simply because nobody really knows. There's no protocol for this. Nobody knows what to do really. So it's definitely not DOT though, because I think if DOT would have probably done something by now if DOT had that power. And Keith Bray has not issued us permission.
Okay. I probably have some other questions, but just keeping on the mayor's office. So this committee has had a lot of trouble with the mayor's office, Office of Film and Television, mostly around overused streets and for use of residential for different stage sets and things like that. So it's unfortunate that none of them are on this call for us to talk to them, but have they given you have you spoken to the Office of Film and Television, and have they mentioned anything to you about what their requirements are for this kind of situation?
No, we have not spoken with him directly. We've been working very closely. I don't know if he's on the call with Richard Bierak of the Borough President's Office. And Richard has really been in the forefront of communicating with the mayor's office on that front. We have not stepped in the middle of that because I always feel it's best to have one person. And I know Richard to be an incredibly competent person, and he understands the issues. Their office did support what we're doing right now, and they are trying to get behind it. So I've left it there. Maybe Richard might be on the call tonight. I'm not sure if he is. But
I'm sorry, what's Richard's last name?
Bierak. Richard Bierak of the Borough President's Office.
So that's Bearak. I think at this time too, I have my laptop on me. I think it might be prudent to show everyone on this committee what the mapping area looks like and our properties surrounding it. So I don't know if you can tell from the laptop. Can you guys see it, or is it still unviewable?
It's slightly unviewable.
Okay. I mean, kind of print. Yeah, let me try that.
Karen, did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I just, I guess I raised my hand. Can I ask questions? Okay. So I guess what times, I mean, is this a full 24-hour closure that you're looking to do?
Yes,
So it's full 24 hours.
yes.
Okay, and the need for 24 hours?
The need for 24 hours is they film all hours of the day and all hours of the night. They don't stick to a strict schedule. They're subject
Okay.
to production schedules, which vary. So they could film well into the wee hours of the night. We've all seen, the Hollywood sets where the director's not happy with the take, and they end up there until 2 a.m. That's part and parcel of what they do. So, they don't start a shoot at 3 a.m. But I don't think that they can guarantee that they'll be off a stage at a certain time either.
Okay. But and I just want to point out again, like I know we were talking about the demapping, but I really want to make sure that again tonight is talking about the temporary closure because demapping takes a very long process.
Yeah.
So let's not confuse the two. And because obviously Broadway Stages is suffering, the film industry is suffering, and this is really what the meeting should be about, is to allow the business to get back up and running. So I don't want to derail because demapping is totally different than what you're
Totally different.
requesting right now.
Exactly.
So I just want to throw that out there. But I do have questions regarding why DOT is asking for permission from the mayor's office of film when if it is going through, I guess, like the open streets permits, have they at least did or has anyone done a transportation rerouting study? How is that going to move forward if DOT didn't at least look at it? So that's, my biggest question is how come DOT is not working with you guys?
I don't know that. I would look with that's part and parcel why we're here. We're asking for your help in that. Look at that.
It's working. Yay.
It's just one image that I was able to screenshot and share, and I can do that with others too.
All right, Anthony, it's got some skills. So, to answer your question though, Karen, we've been stuck in a. If you can imagine this, we're in a time when we have no clear vision. Nobody there's a streets program for restaurants, open streets. That's a program for restaurants. It's not available. It's not a generic program that everybody could just walk into. So we don't qualify for that because we're not a restaurant, obviously. DOT has not. I don't know how to say it. They haven't given us any guidance. They're not. We haven't gotten any. We're on this call now asking for your help. We're with the transportation committee because we are having trouble getting through that and finding a voice for ourselves, despite the fact that we have quite a few people with big mouths supporting the request. I think it's just there's so much chatter right now going on in the city about things that are important. I just don't think we've gotten attention, and that's why we're on the phone with you right now. Is we're kind of hoping we can get some attention.
Okay, fair enough.
And listen, if the community board wanted to see hours and limitations on things with hours and stuff, we could bend our schedule. I'll say this. I said this at the beginning. We don't want to, but we're not being picky right now about things. We want to get in business, so we'll take what we can get. If you see it in your hearts to recommend full closure, just like the restaurants all have, we would love it. If that's not something you want to see and you want to see something on a cut back, we would hate it, but we would also love it because we're going to go out of business if we stay shut for another 5 or 6 months. We cannot afford to stay closed through next March, and that's what's coming up on us right now. So,
The only thing that I would I guess suggest, and this would be a request from to DOT on this, is how you have the turning the arrow that allows the cars to make the turn on Monitor Street, if then to do it, I guess it's at North Henry, we would be looking at, because that's where the traffic would be. That's why it's important, you know, to actually have DOT involved in this, or to have some sort of like transportation, you know, plan in place, because we know where the traffic is going to go. But I was just wondering if then to have like a temporary arrow at the next, you know, light to allow for those vehicles, you know, to go down North Henry. So I know that's separate, but it entails, because if we're going to shut the street down, then all the other, you know, the traffic is going to go to the next block. So that's a DOT question.
Listen,
No,
we're
for you,
really
but-
here jumping up and down, hoping that somebody can get DOT's attention with us while we're doing this, and somebody could that's what we're here for. It's a surprising number of elected officials and government agencies supporting the request for us not to have gotten the traction we were hoping for.
I know Rhonda is monitoring. Rhonda Messer from DOT is monitoring the meeting. I don't know if she's able to speak. Maybe she can just maybe she can get in. I don't know if that's possible. Can you unmute Rhonda? Can you find her?
She's an attendee.
Is it possible for her to speak?
I know she's able to chat. I saw that.
Yeah, I'm chatting with her, but it'd be better if she could address the whole.
If you're able to press the red mic button, maybe you'll unmute her. I would also like this request to apply to Kathleen Fahey, captain of the 9th precinct, so that she can give some insight into this. Oh, Rhonda's in it. Rhonda can speak now.
Rhonda, if you're there, can everybody mute, please?
Rhonda needs to be unmuted as well.
Except for Rhonda. You can go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, because the symbol made it seem like I was muted. So DOT doesn't have a program that this fits into. And I spoke with, Keith Bray. I work directly with Keith Bray, and I spoke to him a little while ago. And we believe that you need to start this with the mayor's office, SAPO, Street Activity Permit Office. They're the only, we can't close down the street temporarily. We don't have that ability legally. I mean, unless there was like something happening, like, that was, we could be involved in the closure that was like an immediate emergency.
Yeah. That's Rhonda. Hi, it's Eric Palatnik. Thank you. That's what we've been getting, and that's why I was like, when everybody's asking what's going on, because it's a square peg in a round hole. Nobody, and then you're at the mayor's office, and the mayor's office is very difficult to get to. So,
but I don't understand why they didn't direct you to this SAPO, Street Activity Permit Office. That's who can grant you a temporary street closure.
The first we're hearing about it.
Okay, well, at least we've got that.
Yeah,
Luckily,
that's great.
Rhonda,
I was singing "Help Me, Rhonda" in the background in my head, and you just did, Rhonda. Thank you.
Okay, just for a sec, Rhonda. I don't know if you heard Karen's question before about traffic route studies and things like that, and getting a temporary turn sign for North Henry and all that. Once they go through the SAPO application, is it necessary to go back to DOT to
SAPO would bring us into the conversation in order to approve the street closure.
Okay, and is there a necessity for engineers to go in and do, not maybe a full study, but some kind of study for the efficacy of it?
I mean, they would have to look at it, but I don't think we're talking about like an EIS, you know?
Right.
It would be, I think a smaller, quicker type of review. It wouldn't be like a full-scale study.
Okay, so just so everyone understands, it's Broadway Stages goes to mayor's office through SAPO, and then it's a meeting between SAPO and DOT to greenlight the closure. Yes.
Yes. You know, in the bigger picture, because we had been involved with conversations about the demapping, and I mean, you know, it looked like it had some possibility to it. So in a short-term situation, if SAPO were, you know, to engage with us about it, you know, it's not, doesn't seem out of the question.
Karen, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I think this is great and this is helpful for them so that this way they have the support that they need and, you know, a process to get this done, because each day I know, you know, they're trying to get back up online, and with the filming, they really need to move quickly. I guess the question for Rhonda is, do you know, would you know how long of a process that is to get those permits? And is, you know, would it be helpful for the committee then to take a position now, or would the committee need to wait until that application is submitted before we could say yes or no in support?
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to any of those questions. I mean, I'm being totally honest. I mean, this is, SAPO would be the lead on it.
Okay.
Okay, and also just to be clear, the committee can't, you know, do a letter without the agreement of the full board. Unfortunately, that won't happen for a few weeks, but you know, I would just suggest, and I'm sure Eric, you're on top of this already, that tomorrow you're going to be on the phone with SAPO, trying to get.
Yeah, now that I learned another agency or another entity of the city of New York. So thank you.
To be clear, it's part of the mayor's office, so I'm
Right.
kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised that the mayor's office of film didn't mention SAPO. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a tough road to get some information from all of us. There's been a lot of people trying, probably 20 people trying. So
Wow.
it's really been a lot, and people that know New York, you know, nobody's a novice. It's all of, you know, people you probably know. So we thank you very much. You really laid it out very clearly, and yeah, I will. Eric is right. I'll be on the phone with him tomorrow, and we'll try to figure out what to do.
May I ask a question first to Rhonda, Eric?
Yeah,
Go
sure.
right ahead, Anthony.
Rhonda, can you explain how this procedure to SAPO differs from when DOT gives approvals for full road closures during work hours for, let's say, construction or like crane operations?
Okay, so
Because then DOT would have the authority, right? Why is this different? I'm new to all of it.
no, okay, I'll answer that to the best of my ability. When we work with contractors to help them accomplish these construction projects, they're very, we don't just willy-nilly allow for complete road closures. And usually if there is the ability to close the road down entirely, to bring like a crane in or something that's like completely necessary to complete the construction of a building. It's for limited hours, for a limited amount of time. So this is a very different, I mean, we have the ability to do construction-related permits. This is not construction-related.
Okay, so just for construction related permits is what DOT has authority and jurisdiction over.
Yes, we have a division that OCMC that deals with permits for construction. And those are the only kind of road closure permits that we give.
Okay.
Anthony, did you say that the captain from the 9-4 was on the call?
Yes, Captain Fahey is on the call. I don't know if she can speak right now, but it would be good to have her insight since she knows the area and she has, I believe, patrolled and seen the area.
Okay, Marie, if we can leave Rhonda available to speak, but Rhonda, I'll just ask you to mute your own.
Certainly.
They can control their own mute and unmuting.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so Captain Fahey, if you'd like to go ahead and
Good
welcome.
evening. Good evening. Thank you. Yeah, so we were asked about this proposal a few weeks back, and we did traffic safety did an analysis. Accidents around the area are way down, so that's not a from 2019. I think there was only 2 in around Greenpoint and Monitor versus 11. Even Norman and Monitor, we were down by a couple of accidents from last year. The only thing that I had recommended would be signage because of Greenpoint Avenue. If they were traveling, you'd want to have the signage so that they'd be alerted before they got to the bridge. So we don't have trucks and, vehicles unsure of where they're going. I guess with GPS, that's not such a big concern. But obviously, Broadway Stages has always been very good. They're very cooperative. They attend all of our community council meetings. They're very in tune with complaints and very responsive to community complaints. The other thing that Eric brought up is 100% true. In the area, from March on, we battle these large group of vehicles that set up. With our limited resources in the 9-4, it takes us a long time to clear them. When they do get set up there, we had a rave underneath the Kosciuszko Bridge. So these empty streets call to these people with vehicles. So from our standpoint, I think having a good neighbor there is very important, and it would be a deterrent to have these large groups set up. So, if you have any questions for us, I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Kathleen. Is it? I don't know if it's Captain. I apologize if it's Captain. If I give you
No titles, names are fine.
Okay, because it says Kathleen on the screen, it doesn't say Captain, so I apologize. We've never met before. But what the Captain was just speaking to was the pictures that are on your screen, which I was trying to describe earlier. We're showing you this because it's what the Argentos have inadvertently created is an acoustical dream for somebody with a tuner car, because they've created 40-foot concrete walls on an entire city block that bounces the sound back and forth better than Studio 54 ever could have. So, and the kids know that. So they come in and they park their cars backwards, like you see, and it's an auto show, and it's a party. And listen, I don't blame them. It was COVID, everybody needed to get out. It was summertime and let's party. The street's empty. But what we're trying to say is, if everybody's concerned about health, safety, and welfare, a fire truck's gonna have a much tougher time getting through this than they would if Tony Argento was controlling the street. He would have a truck through there in a second. So that's why we're asking you for not why we're asking for permission, but I think it serves to show that I think we could, if you gave us the chance, we could do much more productive use and create jobs and get all the businesses in the area back in business. We could do a lot, but we're stuck in the process, which you all see. So thank you very much for spending the time, and thank you, Captain, for emphasizing what we're confronting. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Captain. Committee members, does anybody have a comment or question?
This is Willis. I just had a quick question I put in the chat about if it works the same with the restaurants where bicyclists and pedestrians are still able to pass through. I know it's a relatively minor question, but
Yeah.
So,
So
sorry,
will cyclists
you-
have use of the streets and pedestrians? Trucks?
What was the question?
Will bikes and pedestrians have access?
Listen,
Sure.
ideally, we'd like to have nobody in there because the goal of it is that it's COVID and everybody's supposed to be separate. So, that's got to be controlled. That's the purpose of this, is to control it to meet the state regulations, which require us to control it. So we've got unions telling us where people can be. We got the government telling us where people can be. Plus, we have to actually film content, which is, the job itself requires people being in certain places. So to have somebody treading through on a bicycle or walking through on foot, we'd rather not. I don't think there's any reason to. There's plenty of streets on Kingsland, and Kingsland works great, and we're Kingsland and North Henry are both. North Henry's a beautiful street. It's got more going on than we do. So I don't know if it's necessary for. I don't think we're going to inconvenience anybody if they were told that they had to walk down Kingsland to North Henry.
Well, except that Monitor is still, if you're on a bicycle, the most direct route to McGorlick Park and some of the residential areas south and north.
Yeah. No, listen, I get it. I'm kind of sticking with the state and all the regulations. That yes, we would love to. When we get into the ULURP application, of course, we could design all kinds of things for the future. But right now during COVID, the control of where people go that's what we're all about right now. So yes, but no. How can we let somebody get in there?
And just as long as we're on this, how will the street actually be blocked at Greenpoint Avenue? Will there be a police barricade like there is?
That's what we want to talk about a little bit more, and we're happy to work it through. We're happy to do anything. It would not be an unsightly police barricade. I don't think that's what we're talking about. We'd be happy to put up as nice as the restaurants are starting to do, and some of them have really gone above and beyond the restaurants. We'll be doing something similar. That's a temporary structure that looks nice and is sharp. The main thing we want to focus on, and we own the properties along Monitor that lead up to the opening where we want to be, is we want to make sure we have a turnaround for people when they get in there, because the first few properties on Norman are not part of the action on Monitor, excuse me. So, those are things that we know we need to address, which is how to make sure we let trucks get in there and service it and turn around. And how, here you can see, at the bottom of your screen.
Okay, hang on. Everybody mute.
So, we'd have to work out some of the details to that, and we're happy to. That's something we were trying to do with whoever's giving us the permits to satisfy them. And I think if you were supporting it, or if everybody's going ahead with the concept of it, what I heard tonight is part and parcel of that whole discussion of the quote unquote loose ends, which is how do we treat the entrances? How do we make sure that signage is put up properly on all the surrounding streets, so that traffic is routed properly? And how do we allow for the safe passage of emergency vehicles? And how do we address the trucks that just come into the beginning stub? All of them are easily addressed. Signage can go up overnight very easily. We could definitely put up people as I said earlier, fire guards to let trucks go through, fire emergency vehicles and so forth. And we could also use that same methodology to address trucks that may need to turn around. They could just go right through. We're friendly with the people that have the two properties that do business at the front, at the stub, and we would certainly make accommodations for them. If they had a truck come in that couldn't turn around, that we would open up and they would go through and they would use the fire lane. So we're happy to address all of that. We'll give that back to you in a plan so we can show it to you in more detail. I think that would help you.
Will, any follow-up? Willis?
No, thank you for the answer.
Okay. Any other committee members, questions or comments? No? Okay, so, okay, so at this point, I mean, you know, you have to go through some bureaucratic hoops, obviously, but time, you know, is of the essence. I know I do work with some production companies in the catering business, and I know it has been a challenge for just regular photo shoots to get up and running. And I know film productions have been deeply impacted in the city as well. So, you know, time is of the essence with this. I think we're hearing, I'm not sure that we have in the office all the letters of support that you mentioned, Eric. So if you could please forward those to the office. And contingent upon that, I think, you know, it may be appropriate at this time to entertain well, do we have quorum now? I know Kevin Costa is there. Kevin, can you unmute and speak just to make sure you're here?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure you were there because you were texting me, and I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, I am here. I am here.
Okay. So let's see. I believe we have a quorum. Myself, Willis, Karen, Ryan. Sorry. Kevin, Willis, William, Mary, Karen, Ryan, Klagsbald.
Can I add
Aaron.
a kink into things?
Just one second. So we
Sure,
do have
sorry.
a quorum. I'll let Eric speak, and then if I'll entertain a motion for support if anybody wants to make one.
So
Go ahead, Eric.
I mentioned to you that 20 people have been trying to help do this. So we're texting, you know, while the call is going on, you know, and somebody, I don't want to name the name because it's, you know, but they're saying that they've spoken to SAPO, and SAPO has said that they won't do short-term closures. So I don't know what they consider to be a short term. Like we probably asked for 3 or 4 months. I don't know if they consider that to be short term. You know, we're willing to go. We don't want to be there. We don't want to turn this into something long term. We want to be back in our studios. So, but I think it's just indicative of what I'm probably going to confront. You know, I'm probably, because we would have been. If it was as simple as me going to SAPO, I think I would have found out by now. I've been doing this 30 years, and everybody who's been around me has been doing it 30 years. So nobody's a novice. So, and I'm being texted. So I guess we're probably going to just need your help to just kind of clank around a little bit until we find how to create this. Everybody seems to have a regulation that occurred before COVID that now I guess we got to almost do what the restaurants did, which is where they broke the rules. They yelled for a long time to break the rules. So.
Well, don't break the rules.
No, you know what I mean. They yelled for a long
We're
time
here
to modify
enforce
the
the
rule.
rules.
I didn't mean to break it.
But you know, obviously, there's a conversation that needs to happen between you and the mayor's office that answer from your colleague is not addressing right now. It seems like a larger conversation than we can.
We'll get
entertain
into it. I just wanted to let you know that it seems we're not.
No, I appreciate
get on our
that.
way.
But you know, in terms of you know, where the committee stands, I think you know, having the captain on the call is huge. And if the 9-4 Community Council has also given its blessing, and some of the other organizations, I think it's appropriate for us to both for the sake of bringing back an important business in the district, one of the largest employers in the district. You know, I think it is appropriate for us to, you know, at this point, add our voice, you know, to the in support, but I will leave that up to the committee for anyone to entertain a motion on support. Anybody? Raise your hand. Or not.
If anyone is making a motion, you unmute yourself, say the motion. Whoever seconds it, unmute yourself, second the motion.
Thank you, Marie.
Can I make the motion? Am I allowed to?
Who is that?
This is Kevin Costa.
Non-voting members can make motions? Yes.
I know Bill was trying to make a motion,
Okay.
but
Non-board.
I'm sorry, William.
Motion, yes.
Okay, motion by William. Is there a second?
I can second it.
Mary?
Yeah.
Which William?
Vega.
Okay, we need to do a roll call vote.
What's the motion? The motion is yes to what?
To approve. William, you made the motion. Do you want to state your motion?
Yes, to support the letter to support on Broadway stage with the street closure.
Okay, and just to be clear, is that for a temporary street closure?
Yes, temporary.
Okay. I lost my agenda. Sorry, bear with me 1 second.
Eric?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so you're making motion, seconding the motion. Who's getting this resolution? Where's it going to? It has to be noted.
Would it be to the mayor's office? Yes, mayor's office. Mayor's office of
Write a letter of support that they take it and find a program that it will fit into, because this is like, again, I don't want us to be like spitting in the wind. And if this is an open street and it feels like they're gonna have to wait. I don't know. It feels like this is more like a letter of recommendation until we find how we're gonna actually close the street. That's maybe me being silly.
Yeah, no, I think that's right, Ryan. Okay, sorry, I just needed to get my attendance up. So yes, it is. I'll state the motion. William, you can correct me. Motion is to approve Monitor Street between McGinnis Boulevard and
Greenpoint Avenue.
I'm sorry, Greenpoint Avenue. Greenpoint Avenue and Norman Street for Broadway stages usage.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this will be a roll call vote. Please unmute when I call your name. Simon Weiser. No vote. Gina Argento. No vote. Aaron Drinkwater. Aaron Drinkwater. Aaron, I see you there, but you're muted.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Willis Elkins.
Just before voting, I just want to disclose that the nonprofit that I'm the director of has a close relationship with Broadway Stages. Our office is one of their building. That being said, there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no conflict of interest. I just want to disclose that relationship. We're not going to benefit in any way from Monitor Street being closed for our organization, but just want to put that on the record in case anyone wants to discuss that. That being said, I vote yes for the recommendation.
I see Jerry on the call, but Marie, you might be able to answer that. Does he have to recuse? Can I get direction? Jerry or Marie?
If there's a financial relationship between the two groups, then I would imagine he would have to recuse himself.
Okay, if that's the case, then I'll recuse from voting.
Okay. Mr. Goldstein, I don't see you on here.
So, sorry, Eric, can I just bring up a point? What would I don't believe there is a financial component to our relationship. He's just a local nonprofit that we like to support because it's giving back to the community. But there's no pecuniary exchange to that.
Right. The proposal itself, it's tricky, and I mean, I think it's worth exploring. What Anthony's saying is like the organization I work for has a relationship with Broadway Stages. Yet this proposal itself is not related to our work or that relationship.
No financial gain.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm happy to. I'm more than happy to yeah, to play it safe and recuse myself. But I just want
Well, I mean, does Broadway Stages provide funding for?
So yeah, I'll be clear with the relationship. They have supported our past annual benefits through donations. They've also provide office space to our organization as well.
Yeah, I think if they provide office space, I think that is a financial. I mean, just to be a stickler, I think it might be more appropriate for you to recuse, Willis.
Even if we don't charge them.
Jerry?
Yeah, I mean that's if I mean we've been supporting them from before Willis was.
I think you should continue with the roll call, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes, just continue. Sorry about
Yeah, so
Thank you.
all right, we'll take it up after that. So thank you, Jerry. Mr. Goldstein? No vote. Mr. Klagsbald? Are you still on the call, William Klagsbald? No vote. Ryan Coonan?
Yes.
Mr. Leibovitz? No vote. Karen Nieves?
Yes.
Mario Domerick?
Yes.
James Stewart? No vote. William Vega?
Yes.
And Kevin Costa?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yes, 1 no vote from the original attendance, and 1 recusal. So the motion passes for a letter of support, or a recommendation to the full board for a letter of support. So that's where we are, Eric. So again, just to follow up, I guess we can clarify later as to Willis's delegation, but just please furnish those letters of support from the community council, all the parties that you mentioned.
We will.
In a packet, and you know, we'll take that for the report as part of the public record.
Thank you for getting involved.
Not at all. Anybody else want to add anything before we move on? No. Okay. Hearing
Good night.
nothing. Team Broadway Stages, thank you. You're welcome to stick around or leave as you like, but thanks for.
I might split.
Okay, go ahead.
Take care. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we will go on to old business. I just want to give the committee. I'm sorry, there's a comment here. 1 second. Yes, I'm aware of Mr. Roth's intention to speak. Okay, but we'll do old business first. So I just want to give a rundown on 2 items that the committee has taken up in the past and where we are with them right now. So the first is the Collier Triangle. The idea to put in a plaza and change the direction of to close the slip on Banker that connects Banker to Franklin. DOT, Evergreen, Lucky's Tomatoes, and myself and Councilman Levin's office have been in a couple of meetings discussing the logistics of the triangle and the challenges to the businesses, not just Lucky's, but other businesses on Banker, and what the implications of the plaza as originally designed would be as like an impact on that area. At the last meeting that we had, DOT had pretty much figured out that they needed to go back to the drawing board and try to look at a couple other design options to make to check the feasibility of the plaza. I believe we have something set up offline for next week to kind of follow up and see where they are on that, but they're not ready to present any new proposal or design for that area, but I know they are working on it, so I just wanted to keep the committee informed. Karen, I don't know if you want to add anything on that front. No, I'm shaking your head no. Okay. Thank you, Captain. All right, so that's Collier. The other issue is the BQ exit at Wythe. Rabbi Niederman facilitated a fairly large meeting with stakeholders around that exit last month, where a lot of the community that would be directly impacted got on and made comments. Some of the bus drivers for some of the schools and some of the other constituents of that direct area. DOT was on that call. There were a lot of different suggestions. It was not a community board meeting, so I did not take notes for a report on it, but I'm just appraising the committee now. As everybody on the committee knows, that particular exit and intersection are real design challenges for the traffic engineers. There's a lot of concern about traffic being routed to Kent and the backups that would be experienced on Kent, not to mention what would happen at Wythe. So there's a lot of things to consider, not only on the north side of the BQE, but also on the south side. We're coming around and connecting to the on-ramp. So there's a lot of moving parts for that. And although I continue to say that a half-mile backup on the BQE is both a safety and environmental hazard, things really need to be done correctly. And even if this process takes a while, and it was the local community that brought this up. Co-chair Weiser was one of the ones that had brought this to DOT's attention. So it did start, from us, but from us meaning the community board members. But DOT is back to the drawing board for that as well, and it's unclear when we'll see a new proposal from them. But I think we'll have to have probably some kind of other stakeholder meeting, before that's ready to go. So I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that. Or anybody that was on that call. I think Mr. Klagsvold was, but I think he's left the meeting. Okay, hearing no comments.
I was on the call.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan. I didn't realize.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna put in the record that I find it hard that we're postponing something that's a safety issue about a 4-block detour, because a lot of the problem is not being able to make what is essentially a shortcut illegal left-hand turn from the service road across the BQE traffic to Wythe. And I just want to note that 4 blocks for safety, we should be moving a little bit faster. And it's more not just the backup, but pedestrians crossing in that crosswalk. When people are blazing off the BQE and try to cut across that traffic, it's a very dangerous intersection. And I feel like we're putting safety on hold because some people don't like change, and that's all. So I hope that we put, in light of how dangerous it is, in light that there was a death, I think that we should really move faster. But
Can I say something? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Rhonda.
So we've been trying to arrange a meeting with the state because it seems like there's no support of the proposal that we have, and the only way to entertain the most popular thing we're hearing from people on the board is to have a meeting with the state. So that's why we don't have anything more to say until that happens.
Can I say, it lost by 1 vote at the committee level. It wasn't presented to the full board, and so saying it was stalled so it purposely wouldn't go before the full board. So to have a full discussion on, and bikers were excluded from the stakeholder meeting. So I feel again, that we're bending over backwards for one community and totally ignoring bikers and pedestrians and anyone who's not Hasidic. And it's problematic to me because, again, someone died, and it's not theoretical anymore. Sarah Pitts is dead, and I bike that intersection every day, back and forth to Crown Heights. And it's again, the community of bikers and pedestrians has been completely dismissed from this conversation. We aren't included. It's frustrating. I mean, do we get to have our own meeting where the bikers and the pedestrians have a whole meeting where one opinion is put forward? It's frustrating.
Go ahead.
I mean, I have to agree with Ryan that, my whole thing at the last meeting was I wanted to see more safety, at Kent, not only about because then it's pushing one issue in one area to the next area. So I wanted, more pedestrian safety measures and for them to study, Kent more as well. And, for the light, and there was a whole bunch of other, issues. But I have to agree that I think just ditching everything is not the answer either. And waiting for the state. So what? so now we're waiting for the state because we're going to remove all the trees, or, you know, to extend, that could take years upon years. And we do need something, you know, to happen now. So maybe, I mean, I don't want to have to go through this again, but maybe we do need to have a joint meeting with communities and include the cyclists, and let DOT see if there's anything else. But I'm sorry, it is dangerous and something needs to be done. That's my 2 cents.
I mean, I think everybody knows where I stand. This needs to get fixed, not just because of the backups, but also, you know, for the safety reasons that Karen and Ryan have just brought up. You know, there were issues that were brought up at that larger meeting that I admit that I hadn't considered, but yes, it's to get state DOT, especially in this climate, is going to be a challenge. You know, I will put this back on the agenda for a future meeting, and cyclists and pedestrians can get in and make all the comments that they like, and I encourage them to do so. But you know, I just wish we could have an in-person meeting where we could really, you know, do this right. I mean, this platform is not really conducive to all the voices that really need to be heard on this issue. Not to say that it will not be on a future agenda, probably before in the next couple meetings, but it is important that state DOT gets involved because they do control the BQA proper, and there are some issues that they do need to weigh in on in terms of this. So offline, maybe Rhonda and I can have a conversation about, you know, where you are with getting DOT, state DOT involved, and maybe we can facilitate some kind of meeting in the near term.
Can we also look and see like the charter buses that use the bike lane right there under the BQE on Wythe as a bus stop? Can we look and see if, like, what permission it, like, was that one of the, is that an approved position? Has it been reviewed since the bike lane's been put in? Because again, this is like, this intersection has so many issues, and if you're a regular person that goes through it, you can sit and name it all, but it's not one thing. And this, like, if we're gonna, like, we should be reviewing like all of that.
Yeah, well, yes, and Ryan, I think you know the answer to that question already, is that a bike lane is not a bus stop, and unfortunately, if they're using it illegally to load, that's a problem. But guess what?
They might be using
NYPD.
No, but again, I'm saying we should review, like we reviewed that other charter, the charter bus stop. Like we should look and see, like, is that an actual recognized? Because again, I don't know if it's legal or illegal. I know it's dangerous, and I know it's rude, and I know that it dismisses bike safety. But they may have had permission to use that. That may be something that we should be looking to move them. And I'm not relying on NYPD to do any enforcement. I just want us to like look in and like, we've reviewed bus stops for that other thing. It'd be nice to see if this is an approved bus stop. Was it approved before the bike lane? Is it something that needs to be adjusted now that there's a bike lane there?
Right. I mean, well, again, you know, a bike lane is not a bus stop, and so unless there's like you know, when we talked to the Flixbus people, you know, that was like a whole thing that was going to happen where, you know, DOT was going to come in and like paint the street and everything else, and everybody was going to, all the proper agencies were going to like weigh in and do it right. And you know, if they're just pulling over into the bike lane to like pick people up, then it's illegal. And but unfortunately, that goes to the police department to do enforcement, and you know, it's just something that needs to go on their radar. But so I know that Ryan and we have a Mr. Roth is an attendee that want to discuss Sarah Pitt's accident. And if there's no other old business, I'll entertain anybody that wants to bring up old business, and then we'll move on to new business, and we can discuss the accident. Anybody for old business? No. All right. Old business is closed. New business, Ryan, I recognize you to for new business.
Yeah, I just I wanted to acknowledge that we had a death in our community board in an intersection that's been before us, that we know is dangerous. And I know that I mean, you guys listen to me talk all the time, but there's a lot of people that want to speak up. But I just say, like, we need to listen when people say intersections are dangerous, and we need to, like, again, put safety above people's fear. But I'm gonna let her friends speak. But here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Okay. Is this Mr. Roth?
It is. Hello, hi, Eric.
Hi, Mr. Roth. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry I didn't realize that you knew Ms. Pitts, so my condolences to you.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Peter Roth. I'm a resident of Clinton Hill. My wife and I went to law school with Sarah and have known her for over a decade. She was one of my wife's closest friends from law school, actually, and we were obviously devastated to find out this news over Labor Day, last weekend. I just want to stress, by the way, I'm only here speaking for myself. As a neighborhood resident, as a cyclist, as a driver who uses that on-ramp at next to Williamsburg Street, East and Wythe, all the time, I'm saddened, although not completely surprised that a tragic accident happened there. I know that we don't know all of the details of what happened at that night, and I will obviously reserve judgment until we hear more about that. What I can tell you is that from my own personal experience, I have watched time after time cars blow through that light because it's the last light before you get on the BQE traveling towards the Triborough there. I approach that intersection with extreme care every time me, my wife, and my son are in the car driving that way. I also see people, frankly, pedestrians, not really paying much attention to the lights, which doesn't help the situation either. My main request I'd like to know if there's anything what can be done that doesn't require, what is the low-hanging fruit here? How can we make that intersection safer? Can there be a camera put in? Can there be something that monitors speed and shows people the speed that they're going and records it? Can there be a delayed green if there isn't already one there, so that people are not, so that if somebody does try and make it through that light and fails, but goes to make the light and goes through it anyway, something like this wouldn't happen. That's really what I came to say. And I also agree. I also agree with everything Ryan said. It is really terrifying biking around there. The bike lanes. I know this is not directly related to what happened in the intersection that night, but those bike are necessary. I don't know if it was or not, but those bike lanes are blocked all the time, forcing bicyclists into the street. I will not claim to be a saint about following traffic laws on my bike. I have certainly been more careful since I became a father, and especially after this. But I can tell you that a lot of the times when I'm not observant of traffic laws, it's because I'm trying to get off the street because I'm scared of being on the street on my bike. And my bike is lit up with the brightest lights I can buy. I wear my helmet. I've been biking for over a decade. I'm super careful, and it's still really scary. And if it's scary to me, I can't even imagine how scary it is to somebody who has less experience and has started biking recently at the urging, frankly, of our city to take more advantage of that during this crisis. So anything that we can do to make that intersection safer, and then to make just the bike lanes in that area safer. I don't, that's basically what I came here to say. So thank you for the time to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Roth. I mean, as I referenced before, these two intersections, Wythe and Kent, are under discussion. It is a request that had come from that community initially for a split light on Wythe. So, there's a lot of moving parts there is no low-hanging fruit, unfortunately. I mean, aside from, maybe, well, I don't know. It's hard to say what the low-hanging fruit is. As long as Rhonda is still on the call, I don't know if she'd like to weigh in and just address what low-hanging fruit there may be. I'm not trying to put Rhonda on the spot because I know it's not, she's not here to talk about that. But if she has any comments, and then Aaron, I'll recognize you. Rhonda? And you can say, I really don't know either. I'm just recognizing you as long as you're on the call.
I'm sorry, I went to the bathroom.
Okay. So we're discussing the Sarah Pitts fatality at Kent, and it's relative to the BQE Wythe exit discussion. And Mr. Roth, who came to testify as a close friend of Ms. Pitts, is just asking, what the low-hanging fruit is for that very dangerous intersection. And the committee understands like all the moving parts, but as we did say before, safety is a major issue there. And is there anything that could be done in the short term to improve? Now that there is a death, that usually moves moves things along faster, unfortunately. But I don't know, Rhonda.
I just don't. Sorry. And I'm really sorry for your loss, Mr. Roth. I don't really know anything about the details of what happened here, so I really just couldn't say off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Perhaps I could have looked into it earlier if I knew that this was coming up.
Hi, Rhonda. I'm not really here to talk about the details of what happened there that night. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't think the police have actually confirmed any of the details. And, so I know precious little about it. All I came here to say was that, I'm sorry to repeat myself for everybody else, that I'm a neighborhood resident. I live in Clinton Hill. I use that exit, the entrance to the BQE there and the exit on the other side all the time. Obviously, like everyone else, I think it's, I find it to be extremely dangerous. And beyond that, I have personally watched time after time cars blow through a red light there to get to because it's the last light before the BQE. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that can be done if it can be, the light there can be tuned to be like a delayed green. If a camera can be put there, if any other signage can be put there, just to deter people from doing anything like that. And again, I'm not saying that any of this had anything to do with the accident that night. I don't know the answer to that, but anything that can, obviously anything that can be done to make that intersection safer, I hope, this committee and the board will, take into consideration.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. So I did hear that part. And the thing is that people running red lights is totally an enforcement issue, which is the NYPD. So, I mean, there's nothing that DOT can do to prevent people from running lights. As far as a camera goes, right now, as far as red light cameras, we're at our capacity for the number of red light cameras we're allowed to have through legislation. I believe that there's there's legislation in the works to increase the number of red light cameras that we could have. So it's always good to write to the DOT to request that this location be put on a list for a future red light camera when we have the ability to do more. I really don't know anything about what caused the accident, so it's really hard for me to say more than that.
Hey, like I said, I don't think anyone knows exactly what happened, other than the driver. And I'm not here to try and discuss the details of something that I don't think any of us have the information to talk about. I didn't know that about the red light cameras. If there's any way to reallocate one from a place that you think is less, is more safe to a place that's less safe, like I'd ask that you consider that. And beyond that, I'd appreciate it. I hope that, the committee and the board advocate for making, the streets, just safer for cyclists and pedestrians around there, because it is a place that I personally try to avoid on my bike. And it's scary, and it's scary to have vehicles in the bike lane. And I understand, I understand that these are enforcement issues. In large part, I don't know what kind of communication there is with the local the police precinct, and if there are ways to bring pressing issues to their attention and ask that enforcement be done. But if that's possible, I would ask for that too.
Well, you should. That is the 9-0, I think. I think they go all the way down there. If not, either way, there is a community council for the precinct. Not entirely sure when they meet, but it would be great, for you to attend the next community council meeting and really, make your voice heard at that.
I'd be happy to do that.
Eric, I don't think that they have started meeting digitally. The council,
that is the 9-0 though, right?
Huh?
That's still 9-0 though, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of the NYPD has brought their community precinct councils online, so there's those meetings aren't happening at all.
Okay. That's unfortunate. Okay, if everybody can mute, I'd like to recognize Aaron. Oh, let me recognize Aaron Drinkwater first, and then Karen, you can go.
Thanks. Actually, so I had raised my hand a little bit ago, and I just wanted to, one, express my condolences. Two, if there's not a more urgent time than now, I can't think of one. As somebody who's lived in the neighborhood for over a decade and commutes exclusively by bike, I have seen the significant increase of cyclists and other modes of transportation across the district and across the city. And this situation across North Brooklyn and across the city really needs to be addressed. And so one of the reasons why I selected the transportation committee to be a part of for the community board was exactly these reasons. So if there's any way I can lend my support and be involved in conversations, I would very much like to be. But the urgency is only increasing with more and more people choosing to commute by bike, more pedestrians out. The sort of vehicular concerns across the district are increasing and squarely need to be addressed.
Yeah, I agree with that, Aaron. And I think just the death toll this year, even given COVID and the death toll last year for cyclists. Yes, a lot of that is because there are more cyclists on the road, and so there are more incidents. But if this is going to be a biking city, which it is going to be, I mean, we just need to accept that is the future. We really do need to do whatever we can to make motorists more aware, and cyclists too, of all the safety concerns. But it really is, and also working on infrastructure that that prevents these accidents from even being possible to occur. I know that's a long way down the road, but we're getting smarter about this every year. And Aaron, you're right. The urgency is there, because just look at the death toll. I mean, it's climbing, and it will be addressed because it needs to be addressed. And this committee will definitely be taking it up in future meetings. Karen?
Well, I would like to make a motion to send a letter to DOT to look at safety measures, whether it's signage, additional lighting at this intersection. I know it's being studied separately, but that's more of traffic. But I'm talking about, again, safety measures to address pedestrians and cyclists.
Can we make it the whole intersection, like both sides of the BQE, like not just one, you know, like the whole
corridor?
Yeah, the whole. Thank you for the word. Yes.
I agree.
Okay, so Karen, can you clarify the motion?
To send a letter to DOT requesting that they study the whole corridor of Kent, Wythe. I mean, what other streets? Williamsburg Street.
Williamsburg East, like both
East.
sides.
Right.
Both sides.
So to study the whole area for additional safety measures for pedestrians and cyclists.
Okay, I'm going to say letter to DOT to request an expedited study.
Correct.
Right. Okay. For Williamsburg Street East and West, Kent, Wythe, and adjacent streets.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a second?
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
no, we need a second, and then I'll do the other one.
I second it.
Okay, that's Ryan. Okay. Motion has been made and second. We'll do a roll call vote on approval. Simon Weiser. No vote. Gina Argento. No vote. Aaron Drinkwater. Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. Willis Elkins. Will, you still with us? Oh, we lost a bunch of people. I don't know if they dropped out. Okay, well, no vote.
Did you call my name, Eric?
Not yet.
Okay.
William Goldstein. No vote. William Flagsbald. No vote. Ryan Coonan.
Yes.
Mr. Leibovitz. No vote. Karen Nieves.
Yes.
Mario Domerick. Mario Domerick, still here? No. Okay, no vote. Ian Stewart. No vote. William Vega.
Yes.
Kevin Costa. Kevin Costa. I see you. Unmute. Going once.
Thank you. Bye.
Is that a yes?
I'm going to my bike. I have to run home, drop off my supplies, and then I have to like help a friend out with something. Even though I'm
okay, Kevin, that's great.
Thanks for coming.
I was gonna.
Kevin.
Were you in Brooklyn, an hour away from here? From the side? You came from home?
Okay, well, that is WebEx in a nutshell. I'll text him. Okay, well.
This same time next week, maybe.
All right. Well, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 voting in the affirmative. 4 members no longer voting. It's a recommendation at this point because we don't have a quorum. Okay, Karen, you wanted to make another motion?
If we could send, if the board could request that NYPD up enforcement. And second, I just wanted to send my condolences to Peter for his loss.
So that's a motion to letter to NYPD.
Can I friendly amend on there? Can we also ask them if they're going to have the precinct council, like when they're going to be up with their sort of public community stuff as well? Just ask them in the letter.
Okay, so Karen, if I can state your motion, letter to NYPD, 90th precinct, to increase enforcement at streets adjacent to DQE entrance and exit at Y and Williamsburg Street. And update community board on status of community council meetings. That's a little mumbled. Does that make sense?
To me.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go with another roll call, even though we don't have a quorum. But Simon Weiser, no vote. Gina Argento, no vote. Aaron Drinkwater.
Yes.
Willis Elkins, no vote. Mr. William Goldstein, no vote. William Klagsbald. Is that Klagsbald back? No. Okay, no vote. Ryan Coonan.
Yep. Yes.
Mr. Leibovitz. No vote. Karen Nieves.
Yes.
Mario Domerick. No vote. James Stewart. No vote. William Vega.
Yes.
Kevin Costa. Kevin Costa.
Yes. Sorry,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Okay. So unanimous recommendation. We don't have a quorum, and I vote yes, of course. To send that letter. Okay.
Eric, so you're going to make a recommendation to the full board as
I'm
the
sorry,
committee chair?
Say that again, Marie.
Are you going to make these two letters recommendations to the full board from the chair, from your, the committee chair?
From myself?
You can bring it to the full board for a vote.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I would any other time we don't have a quorum.
Right, okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah. What other option is there, Marie?
That is an option.
No, but
the other option would be not to bring it before the board. The committee can say, and as its body, asking you to make that recommendation.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there any other new business? Anybody? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Aaron? William? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Again, Mr. Roth, thank you for attending, and on behalf of the committee, we are very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Record
Good
will
night.
open if
Bye, good night.
for the committee for the report. Thank you and good night.